Everybody, this is Melvin and Darren with MyPlatinumClub.com.
How's it going?
And once again, it is mailbag day. We've got another burning question from one of our members.
Hey, by the way, let me interrupt you for a second. You make sure you keep these burning questions coming in, by the way, because, I mean, we get a lot, and we want to get more, and unfortunately, we can't address all of them, as you know, because that's how we do. But keep them coming, because we get some great questions. So, I mean, some things that we don't even think about, we get from our members. So, hey, just keep the questions coming. I mean, I would, and I know you too, Melvin. We'd appreciate it.
Definitely.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just thought it was important to let them know.
And we've got another great one today.
Well, what's this one? What
and this is from Rita from Madison, Wisconsin.
All right.
And she says, Darren, you talk about being an active versus passive investor.
Yep.
What do you mean by that? And which one should I be focusing on?
That's a great question. Should I be an active investor or a passive investor? Which is the best way to go? First of all, let's define it real quick. Active investor is someone that is managing the property operations on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so they're actively involved. They've got their fingers and their hands in it. They're talking to the tenants. They're showing the properties for lease. They're signing the leases. They're going to court if they have to evict somebody. So they're basically a landlord. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So an active owner is really more or less a landlord. Active investor. A passive investor is not a landlord. A passive investor is basically someone that, hey, I own this property. I get a report and a cash flow check once a month. That's about all I get. That's about my extent of involvement. Okay. And so, what do you want to do? What's the smart thing to do? Do you want to be active or do you want to be passive? And so usually most people side right away and say, I want to be passive. I don't want to mess with the management and deal with that. Well,
sure,
that's not necessarily the right answer. Okay, and let me tell you why. Because the first question you really want to ask yourself, whether you should be active or passive, is how big of a tool in your wealth building toolbox is apartments or commercial investment property going to be? Okay, and so first off, the answer to that tells me whether you should be active or passive. So, if apartment properties are going to be a large portion of your wealth, so in other words, you decide, I'm working on apartments, I want to own a whole bunch of apartment properties, it's all I want to focus on, that's going to be what I want to do, then you need to be an active owner at least for a certain period of time. Okay? But if on the other hand, if you are, I've got investments in stocks and blue chips and some bonds and I've got this amount of money in some real estate, and if that's kind of your attitude, then you want to get great benefits of real estate but not want to mess with the management, then of course you don't want to be active. You want to stay passive. So if you consider it as just a great investment for you, you want to be probably a passive investor. But if it's going to be a huge part of your wealth building tool, the biggest tool in the toolbox, then you want to be an active owner. Okay, why is that? Well, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. If I want to be passive, I'm not going to, I don't want to know the ins and outs of management and maintenance and schedules and rent rolls and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to know that. But if I'm going to be active, I need to know the inner workings of a property. I need to know all the nuances of managing and running my own property. I need to know from experience what to expect from tenants, what to expect from vendors, what to expect from property managers. I need to know all of that. I need to know what kind of excuses I'll get from tenants. I need to know what kind of excuses I'll get from managers. I need to know the maintenance and repair hassles that come along with it. I need to know all of the things that a landlord does. Okay? Because there will come a time when you will not want to be a landlord, but you'll still want to own the properties. Okay? And so whenever that time comes, you can of course be a landlord all your life and run it and putt around and talk to the tenants, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's the biggest part of your wealth building picture. But at some point in time, most people want to hand it off to somebody else. Okay? And so the advantage of being your own landlord for at least 6 months is now you know what to expect when somebody else is running the show. So with all of our apartments that we've got right now in our partnerships, I spent years managing, renting, landlording apartments, right? So now that we've got everything turned over, I basically manage the managers. I know everything that they should or should not be doing. I know when they're feeding me a bunch of bull. I know when they're not. Okay, I know when a property's not operating like it should. I know when a property is. So I know all the little nuances to grow the income stream that those properties produce because I owned them. I used to own them and used to run them. Okay.
So based on that real world experience.
Exactly. Now, if I would have had that experience, they could show me a management report, and I'd be, oh, that looks good,
Right.
and wouldn't know what really if it did or not.
Right.
Now I know. See, the managers now, they don't like me that much in this way because I'm on them every time I get information. I'm asking the questions because I know from experience what they should or shouldn't be doing when something. Well, I'll give you a quick example for the benefit of all those here. So. One of our properties needed some landscaping work done. Okay, so I went to the property and I looked at it and checked it, and I got in touch with the management company. I said, "Hey, this landscaping needs to be done, and we need to get it done as soon as possible." Okay. 10 days later, it's not done. Okay. Well, now I know it should have been done within 2 or 3 days. Okay. Only because when I landlorded, I know that's how long it would take to get it done. If I didn't know that, the management company could say to me, well, we're still waiting for the guys to get back to us. We've still got around to doing it yet. And be okay with it. Well, no, I know that should have been done. So I'm making a call and I'm saying, look, that needs to be done in the next couple of days or I'm going to be really pissed. I'm pissed now, but I'll be really pissed if it's not done. I wouldn't have known that unless I was a landlord, okay? So let's come full circle with this. And basically, here's the deal. If you're really going to have apartments as the biggest part of your wealth building toolbox, friends, the biggest tool, then you need to be actively involved as an owner at least for, I say, minimum 6 months, because that at least gives you an idea what to expect and what to be looking for, and what to know, what should be red flagged or not. Okay, once you turn the property over to somebody, I think it's important to know how the whole process works and what to expect. If you're not going to do that, if this is just, you want to put some money in a great investment and just watch it grow and have somebody else take care of it, and then obviously you don't want to be an active investor, okay? So the important thing in the beginning, though, is you want to make that decision, Melvin. You want to make that decision. If apartments are going to be the biggest part of my wealth, you need to probably be involved in them at least for 3 to 6 months as an active owner doing all the stuff. If not, if it's not going to be the biggest part of what your wealth is going to be, then I don't think you need to do it. And I think you can remain passive and be passive for as long as you want.
So it's a little bit, based on their personal strategy. So the answer basically is different for different folks that are watching.
Oh yeah. So, for me, apartments are the biggest part of my net worth. And that was the plan years ago. So as a result, I got my hands dirty and I ran and managed my own properties for years. So now I know how it all works and how it all operates and what should happen, what shouldn't happen, and now I know how to maximize the income and maximize the performance of my managers as a result. Now, if I wouldn't have had that experience, like I said, I could get a report and not really know what it's telling me. And so, you make that decision. If it's going to be a big part of your life, a big part of your wealth, then you want to focus on being active for at least a short period of time. Even though it may make you sick, you may not like it, you may not want to do it, you should really think about doing it. But if it's just going to be another one of your investments, so I've got lots of folks from all over the country that, this is just an investment for them. They've got $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in an apartment property, but to them it's an investment, just like, investing in something else, and they could care less about that kind of stuff. Well, if that's you, then you want to stay passive. You don't want to be active in it. But if it's going to be a huge part of what you're going to be doing and growing in the coming years, probably should be active for at least 3 to 6 months as an owner.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks, Darren, and thank you, Rita, for your question.
Good question.
And we look forward to more of your questions, so keep them coming again, guys. Again, this is Melvin and Darren with MyPlatinumClub.com, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.